Hi, guys, and welcome to another installment of Switching Gears with your host, Jose Maldonado, your friendly, local, neighborhood Microsoft me. All right, so today I would like to discuss IT engagement framework. So this is basically revolving around putting together a presentation for those potential clients that are experiencing certain issues. And you want to basically break down in a way that they can digest without giving away the farm how you can help them and how your business or your practice is best postured to help them the best. So let's get started. Okay, so know your audience, right? So in IT engagements, you're going to be talking usually to one of two roles or whoever you speak to are going to fall under these two umbrellas, and that's going to be your business decision makers and your technical decision makers, right? So your business decision makers are going to be your CEOs, your presidents, your COOs, your VP of sales, and business managers. On the other hand, you're going to have your CIO, CTO, or CISO, VP of IT, IT directors, IT managers, VP of systems, VP of networking, and so on and so forth. These two roles are clearly and distinctly different. You have to gear your message accordingly. All right, so as we move on to the goals of each of those roles, for business decision makers, their goals are to increase sales, profitability, and productivity, improve customer relationships, satisfaction, and loyalty, streamline IT operations and reduce operating costs, to ensure compliance with all governing bodies, boost employee satisfaction, to name some. For technical decision makers, their goals will probably align with minimizing IT operational costs and streamlining IT operations, improve the overall experience for not just the highly distributed teams, but all end users in general, and also deliver ease of use, not just during implementation, but ease of use for employees and end users, enhance productivity and optimize workflows, and then obviously safeguard against security risks, which is, sometimes a big task all by its own. And there are sometimes teams or segments of IT that manage only that, right? So decision-making triggers would include streamlining multiple team work solutions that don't talk to each other, shift to a multi-generational workforce, expanding remote and mobile slash hybrid workforce, and then also outdated technology, right? End of life for any of, let's say, Microsoft technologies or any other technology that you may have in the environment. The reason why it's important to define what your goal is and who your audience is that you're targeting is because the wrong message will go over that person's head, or they'll realize, hey, this information isn't for me, or this is not answering the question at hand or the query, or this doesn't lead me to envisioning a solution for our particular issues. So it's very important that you take the information in the prior slides and craft your entire presentation around who you're delivering the presentation to. Hey, so I would like to remind you guys of the IT engagement breakdown. Again, just so that we can go into the engagement, we can go into the presentation, right? One, we just talked about knowing your audience, but understanding the construct of the IT engagement. That way we can speak to these components and deliver the intended message. So the breakdown is problem, product, solution, and delivery. So problem, the client has a problem. They want to migrate from an old dilapidated system into a new system. They want to go from Windows 7 to Windows 10, Office to Office 365. They want to going to the cloud and adding Azure Active Directory. So that's the problem, right? Or something's broken in all of that, where they've tried it on their own and something failed. So they need you to quickly come in and assess the situation and get to a solution quickly. So then there's a product. The product could be Windows 10, Windows 11. The product could be Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Teams, Microsoft 365, Azure Virtual Desktop, and those types of things. Then there's the solution. So the solution is, hey, how do we take the product, make it fit into your environment? What mechanisms do we stack on top of that or incorporate into it to arrive at the solution and solving the customer's problem? Then there's delivery, which is the execution of all of that. Now, remember, you guys are going to have to act and work doing good partnering, collaborating with your client to agree on these different steps. And you may have to rearrange the order of those steps in order to get to a successful delivery. But again, you will agree with your client on what steps to take, and then you can execute. So some of you may ask, hey, well, what if there is no product? What if there's no Windows 10, there's no Exchange Online, and all these other pieces? Well, I would say that you are the product, because there could be two pieces in place. There could be two systems that you come in and you write a PowerShell script, or you introduce some sort of workflow that allows them to work together. So now, where there was a stopgap for the client, you have filled that gap, and now there's a much better and efficient workflow. So I like to look at it as, let's just say, the Charles Dickens effect, right? Charles Dickens wrote a book called A Tale of Two Cities. So Charles Dickens authored this piece of work, and it became a classic, right? Many of you have read it and know about the story, and it became inspirational and enlightening to many around the world. So Charles Dickens did not invent letters, and he didn't invent words, but what he did do was, through his creativity and expertise in whatever his background was, he applied these words in a certain order with certain ideas, and then it became a work of art, right? And it became this masterpiece that we know today. So we apply not only our expertise, but our creativity, and it's through that which we can create, or it's the very definition of a mechanism, right? So anything that we create is a product. So it doesn't have to be a labeled software product. Keep that in mind. Okay, the last thing that I'll mention is be transformative. So in your approach to any IT engagement, just remember, you're taking them from the old to the new, right? You're taking them from what was once broken to what is now fixed. But just know, what we're not doing is we're not fixing the old apparatus. Actually, what we're doing is creating a new apparatus, even if we are repairing what is broken. Why? We are informing the client where they are. So it's the tail of the tape. This is a problem. This is the situation, right? This is where we need to be. Now we have to bridge a gap to get there. But the biggest hurdle is going to be to getting the customer to understand that this modern approach is a part of the solution, and it is critically important. But remain and be and prove the transformation. You are transforming. Be transformative. Okay, so we've talked about targeting your audience and who your audience may be, and what roles they fall in. And those roles are umbrellas that have certain goals, right? So for you to identify that and best curtail your message. Now, so we talked about the framework and the breakdown of an IT engagement. So the last piece of that one happens to be delivery. So delivery is important because it's that when, where, and how type of deal, right? You have to answer those questions in your head, put them down on paper, and somehow convey them to your client. That's extremely important, because in the previous two steps, you're going to do a lot of collaboration and good partnering with your partner or with your client, and then you guys together will come up with a solution. It's almost like a doctor applying or giving you what the treatment is going to be right after giving you the prognosis. at the same time, the treatment has to be something that you agree to in terms of the steps, the frequency, the capability, and more importantly, the mindset. The mindset, that's why we talk about being transformative. So it's the mindset of a client may not be where yours is in terms of the IT solutions. And that's because as consultants, you're laser focused on what the solution is. And the client is looking at the overall picture where our solution is a small cog of this big, huge mechanism, right? So we have to keep that in mind. It's not that they don't get it. It's you have to make sure they understand you. One of the biggest misconceptions in this life, in terms of communicating with other people, we're always, I think, more concerned with understanding the people, right? Let's just make sure, and we can start with them understanding us. And at that point, they may answer the questions that we are truly asking and not convolute whatever the issue is or the communication. That's very, very important. So that's what I mean. Good partnering. I've experienced good and great partnering, and I've experienced horrible partnering where communication was just basically the customer yelling at you, right? So we want to avoid those things, and honestly, we have to also know what business not to pick up and when to walk away when we detect or we suspect it's going to be a bad partnership. So take that, be encouraged, and I'll see you for the next installment. Don't forget, you can always hit us up at jmaldonado@tasksequence.com. You can also leave comments on the video. I'll reply to comments. And then if you need sources for some of the topics that we've covered here, I may have something. So again, just reach out. I'm willing to share. Until next time.